Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Rave with Mara podcast. On the show today, we will be talking about something that is quite common, and our topic is, are people still concerned about legitimate money source? So yes, stay tuned. When we come back from the short break, we'll get a jump into the conversation. Welcome back to the show. I remain your host, Maranatha Abutu. And on today's podcast, we are talking about what is happening currently in the country, but not as a direct means to whether we are going to war against Niger or not. We're talking about money, making money, and how the world has scattered, basically. But before we talk all those plenty story that I want to talk about, I want to give you guys just a rundown of my week. So my friend V came to spend the week at my place, and I learned something new. For the medical people, I know that this is something that is quite common to you guys. But for me, it was something new. I heard it for the first time, and I said, yo, I'm going to come and discuss it on this podcast. So before she came here, I lied. If you know me, you know that I used to usually tell lies about my friends. I used to lie on their head. She took a week's leave from work and she called me to come stay here. But trust me, I told everybody that it's because she does not have a boyfriend. That was why she came to my house, because ordinarily she wouldn't have come here. But that was a joke. I told everybody. So now I'm reporting myself to you guys that I lied. It was very sweet. She made me food. It was like I was a guest in a house. But if you know already, you know that cooking is one chore that I find very, very difficult. I find it extremely difficult, especially because we cook in small bits, meaning that almost every day or every 2 days, somebody needs to go to the market to buy food items. And I don't like that. I mean, the protein part of it, you would see like raw food in the house, but the protein that would be in the food, you have to go to the market. Our market is a bit far from my house, which I totally detest going to that market. So this girl treated me very well. So I'm going to give her a plus for that. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is nosocomial relationship. If you're a medical person, I believe that you already know what I'm talking about. Now, there is nosocomial bacteria or infection, which is the kind of infection or bacteria that you can get infected with just by being around the hospital, whether you're sick or you're not sick, right? But now, I was thinking about it, and I said, wait though, you know how in relationships, we used to complain that there are certain professions that we cannot date, especially because of their work timing. And it got me thinking, right? If a doctor or a nurse or a medical lab scientist who works round the clock, and they probably get 1 day off in a 7-day working shift, how do they build relationship? And then I now realized that, wait, these people used to date themselves. Like, it's them. Inside the hospital, that's to date themselves. The percentage of doctors or nurses or med lab people or just medical people, practitioners in general, who marry themselves is a bit high. And now I'm like, so in order for you as a young lady or as a young man to get an active relationship, like a functioning relationship, you legit need to date yourselves. And I'm wondering, like, the way you would have like all these policies at the place of work where you have two partners working, and maybe there's a HR rule that says something like two people working in the same field or in the same position cannot date or cannot marry. Does it apply to them? Because if you are being frank, I feel like people who are in the hospital, they see them more than their partners at home. So it actually makes sense to date within themselves. So what I came to you guys today is that if you're a medical practitioner and you've been in a drought, you've not seen anybody to date, I think that your problem is that you are looking outside, which you should not be looking outside. You're supposed to be looking inward. So your soulmate, your partner is inward. I mean, is inside that same hospital. And if you are like me, who used to have a very weird thought about dating somebody in my classroom or dating somebody, because when it gets messy, people are just going to start acting like two children. But I mean, if I did any course in medical, I probably would know that it's inside the hospital that the things can be happening. Because let's be frank, where is the time for them to be dating outside person? And then the outside person may not even understand. Why am I seeing you only once in a week? Or why are you working 3 days shift or something like that? Or you're working at weird hours. So yes, my advice, I brought you for good news. My advice for these people today is, if you're a medical practitioner and you've been having problems meeting people, I brought you a good news. The good news is, have you considered nosocomial relationship? If you haven't, start doing that. Thank me later. Anyway, the next thing I'm talking about is, why are we women, well, not just women, because I also have my own fair share of this thing. So my friend Ella she went for a job interview. This was supposed to be for a magazine or something in that line, something about editorial, blah, blah, blah. We were talking on her way, and then even when she got there, I was asking her, oh, what's up? How's it going? Are people much? What does the place look like? Do you think that this is somewhere you'd like to work? After the interview, she just sends me a message, and she's like, yo, I have gist. I said, you know what now? You guys know me. I like gist. So anywhere there's gist, you'll find me. So she now calls me and she's like, you know what? I'm going to get home and get settled. Before she got home, she already texted me the work requirements, her duty, what she's expected to do, and then the pay. So when I read it and I saw the pay, and I'm like, really? Really? Why are you people wicked? Inside all this first category that's happening, you want to hire somebody and pay the person 75,000 naira, and you want the person to be your A to Z. How about now? How about you should be having the fear of God in your mind? But that's not the point. That's not why I'm telling you this story. So now, she goes home, settles down, and we start to talk. And she says, when she walks into the office, this woman already started saying, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. And you guys know Ella. She's been on the podcast, I think twice now, yes. So people know Ella. You know the Ella I'm talking about. Oh, wait, there are two Ella on this podcast. I'm not talking about Mrs. Emmanuel. I'm talking about Ella, the photographer, the hike girl, the biker, the everything. But I'm like, the woman is not wrong. If you think about it, logically, the woman is not wrong. So she wore her boots, a long pair of trousers, and then an inner thingy and a whatever on top, a jacket. Now, when she enters, the man goes, oh, tell me about yourself. And you know, Ella raps like me. If you don't know that, the reason why I tend to break sometimes is because I talk fast. You don't know me. I talk fast, but Ella raps. She's like a jet. But since I started doing the podcast, I had to learn to start talking a bit slowly. Now she starts to rap and starts to say, oh, I am so and so. I went to the University of So. I went to School of Aviation. I have so and so certificates. And then the woman now shuts her down. That's the way I would describe it, because the woman went ahead to tell her that, why are you dressed like a biker? Ella first goes, I'm sorry, like, what exactly am I putting on that makes me look like a biker? But I'm like, you people have patience, so, because if I'm not dressed inappropriately for an interview, and you're referring to me, you're calling me a name of something only because I look good, or I look like, oh, I mean, I know what I'm saying. I am confident. You are just looking for ways to put me down. Then, it was just really weird. Anyway, so when she told me that, I was like, okay, so what did you say to that? She was like, she didn't say anything. And then when she went back, instead of her to, go back to the interview, this woman started telling her, I have traveled all my life. I do this and this and that. My magazine has been in existence for more than 10 years. I deal with blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Instead of all the story, the long story short is that she's well traveled and she has a magazine and she has a lot of money. Tell me what that kind of story is doing in an interview. If it is not that you're trying to intimidate this person or make them feel small, like, oh, wait, why are you so confident? Because from the story, Ella told me that the first person that went in, she was all jittery and nervous, which is expected, If you haven't gone for an interview in a while and, you're in a new place, it makes sense that, a few persons will get nervous. But if you know Ella don't have time for that, So Ella went in confident, and this one was just trying to make her feel small by telling her places she's traveled to, how much money she has. Oh, how much money you have and you want to pay somebody 75,000 naira. Anyway, long story short, this auntie, after doing all those drama and everything, she tells her something else and she was like, okay, all right. And this man says, ma. Like, you would say, yes, ma, or okay, ma. And I'm like, okay, if you're well-traveled, or because from the story, she says she left the country when she was young. She came back when she was 18. Then went again when she was 19. So if you're well-traveled, you've lived in America, you've lived in UK, then why are you so bothered about ma? Because as far as I know, the Americans do first name basis. So, madam, if you be saying Allah she's alive, I don't even care about that. That's not the point. The point is, why do we people, I don't say women, but it's common amongst women, why do we like to put women down, especially when you find that they are confident or they are coming to you for something, and this thing is an exchange of service, right? She's not coming to beg you for money. Yeah, she's coming to ask you, oh, travel with me or something. She's saying, hire me, and I'm going to do this work for you, and yet you sought ways to have to try to put her down. Me, I should have told her that, as a good person that I am, with the best advice in the world, I told her that if she was interested, because it seemed like a pretty big deal, and if she feels she can't work with the person, then she doesn't need to put up with it. But if she feels like it is manageable, and since, oh, it wasn't remote, because I remember asking if it was a remote role, because 75K in this time and era, it is wickedness. I think one of my neighbors was also complaining. She went for an interview somewhere around Dutse. Is it Dutse? I don't know. I can't remember. And it was the same 75-80K pay. And I'm like, do these people put into consideration that if people live in central Abuja and you have to like go all the way down to the other side? It's just, please, women and men, because me too. I had an interview. I was supposed to have an interview for an editorial role. And it's the same thing where somebody starts to speak plenty English and starts to make the job look, oh, it's a stepping stone. Oh, you need to do this and do that. Your time will come, that kind of thing. And you already know that this person either doesn't want to pay you what you're worth, or they just want to use you. And I keep telling people every time, I know I may look like a Gen Z to you guys, but please, you're talking to an old, this is an old person. Don't come to me with stuff that you expect that you can run by a child. And as the mumu that the person is now, the person is just going to accept whatever rubbish you're saying. That's, by the way, men and women, stop doing that. If you don't have money to pay people for their services, say so. You may eventually find somebody who will accept you or shitty pay for that role, but try to bring them down to say, oh, you don't have experience in this and this, or oh, you just have 2 years experience in this role. Please, let it go. Let it go, please. Anyways, that's that on the gist part. I know that in this era, in this period, things are hard. Like, extremely hard. Especially for people who didn't even have job prior to this sustainable regime. I keep calling it a regime because I don't know if we are under military rule or we are still doing democracy like this, because people vote and are tossed and no votes. As I'm concerned right now, we are in a regime. Now, I know that things are difficult for a lot of people and that it is not even easy, even for those of us who are well employed. By the time you take out your bills for the month, it's still difficult to send money to somebody who is in need sometimes, because you're like, oh, by the time you finish sorting your bills, there's nothing left. I get it and I understand fully well. And I know again that the world is sort of, if you're poor, let me put it this way, if you're poor right now, or you're broke, or you are just doing something legitimate, I think that the world or people now think or see you as a fool, because they think that it's either you are just forming what you're not, or you're just clearly stupid. I'm genuinely concerned, and do we think about, because of my morals, I'm not going to do this certain act, or because everybody must make money or everybody must survive now, we have thrown our morals away as a society. It's almost like if you're not dating a Yahoo person, or you're not doing Yahoo as a guy, or you're not doing rituals, or you're not trying to look for one scheme, one positive scheme or the other to do, or you are not gambling away, you are a stupid person, or you don't have plans for your life. I'm genuinely concerned though. Like this one, I'm asking you guys to tell me, like, where did we go wrong? That's my question. Like, where did we go wrong exactly? Because I see young girls at 17, 18, you're already saying, oh, I have to date somebody who has money. I must be going to the club every day. I must be doing, what's that song? There's that popular song in the club. Do re mi. Like, and then you see a young boy, that same age also saying, my guy for Lagos won't make him now. Or hey, my friends, they do something for Ghana. They say make all of us gather. More come, more go learn how to do Yahoo. Or wait. If you make a mistake, because I call it a mistake now, to say, brother, sister, this is not the way. Oh. There's a repercussion for this thing. Now you be the mumu. Or now you be the enemy of progress when no one made a blow for their life. And it's crazy to me whether it is the plus or not the plus. I just feel like it's all just fraud. However you try to justify it, oh, I'm not stealing somebody's money, or I'm stealing from the rich. It's not the poor I'm stealing from. The fact still remains that you're stealing. You're a thief means you're a thief. Why are you doing this exactly? And it says, see, I didn't graduate to a good result. I need to make ends meet. I'm the firstborn, yada, 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 and all that. And now, it's always how they always, like, the moment they send you a message or says something like, let's hang out. This is not just with him, and it's with almost all the people that I know that suddenly came about an amount of money or no from an unknown source that nobody is saying, or they will just tell you flimsily, I did a business, or I did something online. Yes, that's the word they usually use. I did something online. And especially with now that it's the era of bets and gambling and whatever, anybody can just tell you, I've come about a large amount of money, and they can easily just blame it on, oh, I want money in Bets Nigeria, or I want money in Sporty Bets. It's easy for them to just clean their money like that. And now, a couple of days, he sends me a message and he's like, let's hang out. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't get money. You know that months, our pay usually comes a lot earlier in, previous months. So by the time it's like second week or into the new month, it would have been 3 weeks for me. So I don't have like spare money to do the hanging out. And the next thing they will either throw at your face is, fine girl like you, or at your age, why won't you have money to hang out and stuff like that? And I know that, like, I don't owe anybody an explanation as to, oh, wait, now you they help me count money from my pockets, or now you know how much my salary be at the end of the month. But it gets me riled up every freaking time, because the fact remains that I know what you're doing to get this money. And while it is okay for you, it is not okay for me. So why are you coming to rub it in my face that, oh, I have money and you don't have money? So it's almost like, if you don't get money now, you're not doing something fraudulent. You're a bloody fool. I just want to ask, is it that as a society now, we've all forgotten that a thief is a thief? Because if you're calling a politician a thief and you're a Yahoo person, you're also a thief. If you think that politicians are ritualists or kidnappers and you're doing the same thing, you're a bloody thief. Whatever you think you're doing that is like, I'm not killing anybody now. Shebi is just, I'm telling you something sweet and you're sending me money, or I'm just lying. I'm not saying that you're going to hell, or this is not even about heaven or hell. This is about our morals as a society. I saw a video on Twitter the other day, and the man was saying that the way the society is right now, it is rigged against young people. And it's rigged against us because whatever industry you want to go into is almost like they've put gatekeepers that makes it extremely difficult for a young person to climb into the ladder of that space. For example, as a young person, back in the day, you hear that an 18-year-old boy or a 20-something-year-old woman started so and so, and they were able to get license for a building. They started a whatever, licensing, whatever, or they started this or that business, and it was working well. But for right now, whatever industry you think that you want to go into, it's almost like if you are not rich, I mean, you are not above 30 or 40 and you are bloodily rich enough to pay those gatekeepers, you can't do it. So he says that he understands why lots of young Nigerians are now going into the creative space, because that is the only way that you can blow or do whatever you want to do and just make your money. Because whatever startup you want to do now is almost like, you need to pacify so and so. And that's why TikTokers, writing, dancers or musicians are just where almost all the youths are focusing their energy into, or you go into tech, which is because it is online and anybody can, train or learn something by themselves and then get jobs and whatnot. But every other one that you can think of is almost like, as a young person without so much money, you can't do it. If you're doing fraudulent activities, is it that you don't have morals anymore? You don't care the lives you're hurting? You don't think that it is wrong anymore? Or every way in a way. I was also saying that the way everybody's posting Kanayo, which is a joke, right? Everybody's posting the guy. Now we don't know who they do them based on cruise and who actually they do them, as per this is actively what I want to start doing now. As a community, as a society, are we now accepting fraud? Fraud, Yahoo. Are we now accepting it as the norm? Are we also now accepting scamming people, no matter how little it is? Or are we now accepting if somebody gives you money to keep for them, just run away with this thing and just think, well, you are not fast enough or you are not smart enough? Are we genuinely, as a society, we now saying that these things are acceptable? Because I see it every day where even in churches, they don't care what the person is doing anymore. Because how can a young person walk into a church and give donations of 200K, 500K to a million naira? A young person that is maybe 20 or 21 and nobody is concerned about the source of that income. And even the parents of these people are not concerned. All they are bothered about is, oh, this is our poverty alleviation scheme and we're happy about it. So please, you guys, I need to know, because my own problem is, you can do whatever you want to do. Don't bring it close to me. And also, don't shame me for not having money, because I am not going to be doing what you're doing. It doesn't make me a fool. If you think that it is now okay, everybody should just try however they can steal. Because I remember when the money, cash scarcity was happening in Nigeria, and it reinforced the fact that everybody in Nigeria is likely to be a thief if given a position. Because that position now why you never start to steal that money? If you're put in a position where you have access to these resources, would you also, as a good citizen of Nigeria, not stock away that money or that pile of resources for yourself? Will you think about what you can do for the greater Nigerians? Here we are going to be frank with you. All of us, I feel like everybody is likely to be a thief, because we are now condoning things that are not the norm. How can you see somebody young with such large amount of money and you think that it is okay? Or, they are dating a Yahoo person. It's actually not them that is doing the work. And I'm like, the way that young girls put their lives at risk by dating Yahoo people, I feel like they don't even think about the future, because this person you're using their money for whatever, you don't even know if they care about you enough to the extent where they would see an opportunity to use you for something and they wouldn't. Anyways, I don't want to talk about this too much. This is where we'll end the podcast for today. Thank you for listening. And please remember to subscribe. Remember to comment. Remember to like. Remember to share to your friends. If not, I'm going to be blowing powder from next week. Shebi is evil things people are doing in Nigeria. No, not just in Nigeria, but I'm focusing my talk to Nigerians. So as a young person, please, if you think that there's no repercussion for what you are doing, just think again, because it's the innocent people you are stepping on or trampling on. Your suffering doesn't mean that you need to do whatever diabolic means to achieve or become wealthy. There's still a blessing attached to being good. Yes. Thank you, and see you next week. Bye.